This animal defied reason not only for the park ranger who found her on this snowy mountainside, but also for everyone who came in contact with it afterward. The fury creature, which mostly resembled an infant elephant, was unlike anything anyone had ever seen before. But when they found out what she truly was, everything changed. Before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any news story. Alice had been a park ranger for years, walking the same snowy trails almost every day. The mountains were peaceful, covered in a blanket of white, with only the sound of her boots crunching in the snow. She scanned the land, making sure everything was safe, just as she always did, never expecting surprises. But on this cold morning, something felt different. As she made her way up a gentle hill, a soft whining sound floated through the chilly air. It was faint at first, almost like a breeze, but there was something sad in its tone. Alice paused and turned her head, trying to figure out exactly where it came from. The sound grew a little louder, a weak cry that seemed to ask for help. Alice's heart beat faster as she strained her ears. She knew every animal that lived in these mountains, and this sound didn't fit any of them. It was enough to make her change direction and move carefully toward it. With each step she took, the strange whining sound became clearer. It was definitely close by, and whatever made it seem to be in trouble. The tracks looked unusual, not like any deer, rabbit, or wolf. They were rounder and bigger, spaced in a way that suggested a heavy animal. The footprints led her through a patch of frozen grass and up a small rise. Suddenly, the trail ended at a deep hole in the snow. Alice stopped right at the edge, steadying herself so she wouldn't fall in. The hole was about 6 feet deep, its walls smooth and white, with clumps of snow where something had clearly struggled. The whining was coming from inside the hole. Peering down carefully, Alice saw a creature unlike anything she had ever seen before. It was covered in thick, brown fur, with big round ears and a small trunk-like nose. Its eyes were wide and frightened, and its little trunk reached up toward her, making those same sad sounds for help. Carrying the branch, Alice returned to the edge of the deep hole. She knelt down, trying to avoid slipping, and slowly lowered one end of the branch toward the strange creature below. The animal reached for it with its small trunk, wrapping it around the wood just like she'd hoped it would. Alice braced herself and tried to pull gently, hoping that the creature might be light enough for her to lift it up. But as she pulled, she quickly realized that the animal was much too heavy and too stuck in the packed snow to be lifted out this way. The branch bent dangerously. She stopped, not wanting to break the branch or hurt the animal, and tried to think of another way to help. Plan B came to her quickly. She would use the branch to dig away at the snow instead, slowly making a ramp so she could walk down and help the animal get out. Alice started digging at the edge of the hole, using the branch to push aside loose snow, little by little. The work was hard and her hands soon grew cold and tired, but she kept going. Time passed slowly as Alice kept digging, and the ramp started to take shape. It took her nearly an hour to make it wide and shallow enough that she could climb down safely. She was tired, but she finally saw a way to reach the animal without falling in herself. When the ramp was ready, Alice carefully stepped down, moving slowly so she wouldn't slip. The animal stayed still, watching her approach, but didn't seem afraid. She reached out her hand, palm up, and to her surprise, the creature stretched out its trunk and gently folded it over her hand. The creature tried to get to its feet, wobbling at first, but managed to stand after a few seconds. Alice helped support it as they walked together, slowly making their way up the ramp and onto firmer ground above. Once safely out, Alice and the strange animal stood together on the sturdy ground. She couldn't help but stare at it in disbelief, still catching her breath. "What are you?" Alice whispered while analyzing the animal. It had many similarities to an elephant: large ears, sturdy body, and a long trunk. Most wild animals would flee, but this one didn't. The animal's appearance and behavior were puzzling. It hadn't run away, and now it seemed to want to stay near her. "Just a few more miles and then back home to my cabin for lunch. Let's hope the afternoon will be less eventful," she told herself. But the day had other plans. After finishing her round, Alice returned to her cabin and reached for the door. That's when she heard it again, the same soft whine from earlier. Only this time, it wasn't distressed. It sounded friendly. Alice turned, hands still on the doorknob. At the top of the snowy hill stood the creature, the same one she had just helped. "Did it follow me?" she whispered. Wobbling clumsily, the animal made its way down toward her. Each step was slow, collecting snow in its thick fur. But it never looked away from Alice. It was clear it wanted to be near her. She looked around. Technically, taking wild animals into her cabin was against park rules. But this didn't feel like an ordinary case. The animal was young, alone, and clearly attached to her. Alice opened the cabin door. "All right then," she said softly. "Let's get out of the cold." She gestured toward the living room. The animal sniffed the threshold, unsure, until Alice gave it a gentle pat. Finally, it stepped inside, leaving wet prints on the floor. It wandered through the small space, curious but calm. Alice watched, still unsure what to make of it all. She fetched a blanket and draped it over the creature's back. It curled up beside the stove trunk tucked beneath its head. With a quiet, almost human sigh, the creature closed its eyes, as though it had always belonged there. As the afternoon sun drifted across the sky, Alice made herself a cup of tea, never taking her eyes off the creature. As night fell and the wind howled outside, Alice added more logs to the fire and checked the door. The animal remained asleep, and for the first time, Alice let herself relax. She scrolled through her phone thinking of people she trusted, not just experts, someone who would understand and keep quiet. She landed on Edwin, a wildlife biologist she'd known for years. He had a sharp mind and knew when to stay silent. She called him and explained everything, the creature, its resemblance to an elephant, and the strange visit during the night. "This needs to stay between us," she warned. Edwin promised discretion, his voice tinged with curiosity and concern. "I'll come over right away," he said. Alice tidied the cabin, checked the blankets, and brewed coffee while she waited. The 2 hours crawled by. She kept watch at the window, jumping at every sound. Finally, a pair of headlights appeared at the top of the snowy hill. Edwin was here. He stepped inside and froze. "That's incredible," he whispered, staring at the animal in wonder. Slowly, he moved around it, eyes wide with disbelief. Together, they examined the creature. Edwin ran his hands over its thick fur, studied its trunk, and looked into its deep, dark eyes. He murmured to himself, stunned at every detail. "This can't be right," he said eventually. "It's definitely an elephant, but not one that should exist." After a while, Edwin began to form a hypothesis, though he didn't say it aloud. "I need a DNA sample," he said, pulling a small kit from his bag. Alice gently stroked the creature's head as Edwin drew a quick blood sample. "We can't leave her here," he said as he packed up. "If those people come back, they'll take her." He suggested they all go to the university lab. Alice agreed. "Her name is Beth," she said, admitting she had named the creature while waiting. Edwin nodded, saying it was a good name. They wrapped Beth in blankets and let her out discreetly. She climbed into the back of Edwin's Jeep, nearly vanishing under the layers. By midday, they reached the nearly empty campus. Edwin used a back entrance, and Beth followed silently across the cold pavement. Inside the lab, Edwin immediately examined the blood under a microscope. Excited, he brought out more slides for comparison. "And that's what makes it incredible," Edwin replied. "Beth's DNA is nearly identical to samples from woolly mammoth fossils." He explained that although woolly mammoths had gone extinct over 4,000 years ago, Beth wasn't one but a direct descendant, the closest living relative ever found. It was a groundbreaking discovery. Edwin compared it to how humans carry Neanderthal DNA. Almost all of us have a tiny strand left, but Beth carries a lot of mammoth DNA. It's unheard of. He suspected the people searching for her were poachers. They likely saw her in the mountains and wanted to catch and sell her, not understanding her true scientific value. As they started to relax, movement on the lab security cameras caught Edwin's attention. The poachers had followed them to the university and were now outside, trying to find a way in. With the main doors locked, Alice acted fast. She called the local police station, describing the men and explaining the urgency. The officer promised help was on the way. Meanwhile, Alice devised a simple trap. She unlocked a door leading to the locker room, which was sealed from the lab by another locked door. Then, she and Edwin hid nearby. As expected, the poachers entered and became trapped inside. Alice quietly relocked the main door and texted the police their location. Minutes later, officers arrived. Alice handed over the keys, and the poachers were quickly arrested. With the threat gone, the lab finally exhaled. Beth was safe. Now they could focus on studying her without interruption. Edwin brought in a few trusted scientists to help. Each was amazed by what they saw. All agreed Beth was a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. Eventually, Beth was moved to a specially secured wildlife sanctuary in the mountains. There, she had space to roam in a team of caretakers, including Alice, to ensure her safety. The facility was well guarded, ensuring she would never be in danger again. Beth adapted quickly, becoming stronger by the day. Alice visited often, walking through the snow and watching her explore. It filled her with pride, knowing she had helped save a creature so rare that most people would never believe she existed. No one ever discovered how Beth ended up in the mountains, or how a mammoth descendant had survived all these years. But Alice didn't need answers. What mattered most was that Beth was safe and happy, and Alice would be there to make sure it stayed that way.